Welcome to the 2018 signing class press conference. Really excited about the group of young men that we've assembled today. I say we, it takes a tremendous amount of effort on a lot of people's part. 9 on-the-field coaches that go out and recruit, but also a tremendous support staff in recruiting and all of our staff on campus that do a great job when student athletes come to visit with their families, and whether it's an unofficial visit, official visit. It just takes a lot of people to be able to produce a class like this that we really are excited about and feel very, very encouraged by the way we've addressed some strong needs that we had in our program. So really want to just begin by saying we've represented 10 different states with this class, which is really kind of been a consistent theme in our program over the years. Have really done a great job of trying to address finding the best fits for our program, whether that's 2 hours away, 5 minutes away, 10 hours away, whatever it happens to be. We just want to be able to find those guys and those families that fit with us in regards to the kind of cultural atmosphere we're trying to create here, the kind of student athlete we want that's focused on academics, kind of character that we're looking for, and obviously the kind of athletes that we believe can help us achieve our goals in the Big Ten. So from that dynamic, we've got 5 from the state of Florida, 4 from the state of Illinois, 4 from Tennessee, 3 from Indiana, 2 from Georgia, and then we have 5 from individual states. So 12 on defense, 8 on offense, 2 athletes, and a specialist, signed a kicker. So really feel like that even though this class is not finished yet, being a 2 signing day period that we have for the first time, we'll address a few more needs defensively with the rest of our class, but the majority of them were signing with us today. And everyone that was committed to us prior to today signed with us, which is very encouraging, showed that they were truly committed to us and we were committed to them. And then we had a few more that joined in as well. So just kind of want to go through and just kind of give some highlights. From my perspective, as you go through and look at the group, had a really a strong amount of talent that we are graduating on defense, and so we had to really address that side of the football. And up front, really excited about the young men that we added, James Head, Shamar Jones, Gavin McCabe, and Madison Norris on the defensive line. Madison Norris being an in-state athlete from Hamilton Southeastern High School, really an elite track athlete. I predict he will possibly win the state 100-meter high hurdles this year, and probably would have last year, but got a late injury in the tournament, wasn't able to do that. But really, really fast, long athlete that has a great family, is excited to be a part of us, and I'm really excited about him being an in-state guy. And then James Head from the state of Florida, guy that we really spent a lot of time investing into and to allow him to come up here and realize his dream. Also graduating some linebackers, so excited to add Aaron Casey, Cam Jones, and Michael McFadden to our team, and guys that with athleticism, a couple of guys there from, actually all 3 of them from the South, and guys that we really believe in. At safety, George Jusevich, a young man that was a finalist for Mr. Football. He was our first, I guess you could say, verbal commit, as they call it, a year ago about this time, and just really had him in camp and loved him, and just a really good football player, and plays all different positions on his high school team, led him to the state championship game, and he's a young man that I believe is going to develop and really be a special player in person for us. Devon, a.k.a. Monster, he goes by Monster, that's his nickname, and Mom even calls him that, which is sometimes unusual for nicknames, but a great football player there that I think has a tremendous ceiling. Last name, Devon Matthews is his name, and Noah Pierre as well from the state of Florida, guys that athletically give us a pop and a burst that we're looking for back there. Cornerbacks, Elijah Rogers and Jalen Williams, 2 really good athletes that we really believe are quality young men. Jalen's a tremendously gifted player with high-class speed, can play both sides of the ball, but he's going to play corner. Same with Elijah. He was a high school quarterback, and he's going to play corner. Athletically, we got 2 guys in that category, Reese Taylor and Stevie Scott. We all know who Reese Taylor is here in this part of the country. Mr. Football here in Indiana led the Ben Davis Giants to an undefeated season, state championship, nationally ranked program, and I feel like that he is just an elite athlete. Really see that he will be a young man that has a lot of versatility, quarterback skills, receiver skills, DB skills, return skills, all those kind of things. Extremely quick and fast, and as we said, the character pieces what I care a lot about. And he's a really, really fine young man with strong grades. And Stevie Scott, big young man, 6'2", 235 pounds, and can play running back, plays linebacker, and we'll be fighting for him on both sides of the ball. But we're glad he's on our team, gives a tremendous special teams value as well. Kicker Charles Campbell, want to highlight him, All-American from the state of Tennessee. Big need for us, but he's going to have to come and compete. I told him that from the very beginning, and we've got quality kickers here on campus that want the same job that he wants. So, but he is a guy that we went out and got and out of high school, and he'll be kicking in the U.S. Army All-American game, and really excited about his skill set that he brings to our program. O-line-wise, we got a very had a young O-line this year. We not have any seniors, but was able to add a couple to that group, so we did not have a lot of numbers. So we went ahead and added Nick Morosis and Aiden Rafferty. Nick from Illinois, Aiden from D.C. area. And so long athletes that are going to develop really, really tough guys that I think are going to be really good players for us as they come into our program and work extremely hard. Tight end, big need for us, Matt Bjornson and T.J. Ivey. Had to address losing a couple there to graduation. And so excited about their toughness, athleticism. Matt's a guy who's very versatile. TJ's a long athlete that I think is going to really develop into a fine player. A running back, really strong need for us in terms of the burst and speed that we're looking for. And Ronnie Walker, really excited about him. He'll be a mid-year guy, as well as Jacoby Hewitt, Mike Penix, and James Head. All four of those guys will be mid-year enrollees, which is huge for them to be able to get here and start with us in early January. Ronnie's led his team to state championship this past, actually a couple weeks ago. And really, I think, a tremendously talented player, strong, fast, great balance, great vision, and really used to running our kind of system. And receiver, Jacoby Hewitt, Miles Marshall. Jacoby's tremendously fast, also good size to him, thick. And Miles has got length, 6'4", receiver. Caught a ton of balls there in a very, very good league coming out of the Atlanta area and out of Parkview High School in Georgia. And then Mike Penix, quarterback that we just, the most recent commitment here, signee that joined us here in his announcement here about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Tremendously excited about him. 6'2", 6'3" range, 200 pounds. Love his length and athleticism. And he's listed as a pro-style quarterback on paper, but that's not what he is. I mean, he's a dual guy. And really, really gifted athlete, really good basketball player. Could run and jump extremely well and has those qualities. So he's going to come here and compete. And he'll be a mid-year guy, as I mentioned. So excited about his leadership and his character. Really stuck out to me in this process. And our staff knew him before because of prior relationships and other places that we've been. And so really excited about him and what he brings to our crew. So we have a 23 members of the class at this point. It will grow as we move forward, but really excited about these young men and what they bring to our program. Any questions?
Coach. With the early signing period now going through it, what are your initial thoughts about it?
Well, now that it's over, it's great. Because now you have these guys already locked in, and you don't have to spend the Christmas season focusing on these 23 guys. Now you can focus on the last few that you have available, and you'll know what's out there, and you'll be able to focus on them. What it created, though, up to that point was 3 weeks of really, really intense time to be able to squeeze what you normally do in about a twice as long a period into that shorter time at the end with official visits and getting guys on campus and you trying to the head coach gets one visit to each young man during the contact period. So to get to all those guys in their homes is hard to do in that shorter window. So and then also you don't know exactly what you're going to have available. It's just based on some things that happen numbers wise. You don't always know those numbers to the T at this early on. So it creates some challenges for sure, but just like anything else, you adapt and you move on. But once you get through it, it feels good to be able to have these guys locked in.
This class in particular felt like a lot of these guys were in for a while, that either spring, summer commits, maybe early fall. How important in your mind was it to kind of get your work done early, I guess, in terms of getting a lot of guys identified quickly and in the fold quickly because you were dealing with a shorter timeline? And is that the idea going forward?
There's no question. I think we knew this. I mean, we knew the new rule when it was out. Really wasn't sure how it was going to play out, how it was going to be, totally once it's lived out. But I felt like that it was critical to get guys on campus. We made a big emphasis of that over the summer and last spring and get to know our athletes and recruits as best we can and so get them exposed to our place as soon as possible and because we knew we were going to be pressed and you didn't know which kids or how they were going to approach. I know as college coach, we weren't sure, are they going to, single this, do they want to sign her or do they want to wait? And no one really knew. And so you kind of just started to go through it. But we had to have the mindset of, let's get this, kind of speed the process up. Let's get to know these guys faster. Let's make sure we get as many on board as we could, and then we decide, how it's going to play out. So I think that the relationships that were built, they were strong. You get a lot of people coming at the end trying to sway guys. And the thing that people were trying to do in this structure is get you just not to sign. And so just to be able to give them more time to keep recruiting guys that we wanted. And so, the guys that were committed to us, they stayed true and they committed and they signed with us today and after they had committed. And so really encouraged by that, but we were able to hold on to everybody that we wanted and felt really good about that process.
Coach, can you talk about offensively, your offensive staff was really only together about 8 or 9 months up to the signing point. And really, at that time, you're almost getting lapped by the other teams because you're so far behind as far as identifying guys. The job they did, Coach Sheridan getting Michael Penix, Coach Hart getting Ronnie Walker, and all the other guys, just to catch up to the other programs that you were probably a little bit behind.
We were, and I think that's just part of staff changes, especially when we had that many new guys on offense a year ago. So I think, but it's, we staff recruit, and I'm a very aggressive head coach in recruiting and talking to players consistently the entire year, whether it's via text or via phone calls themselves, and we have nights each week and get myself very involved. And it's hard during the season because you're game planning, you're scheming, you're working on watching film, and yet we have to carve out time for that. And I know it's extremely important, so we did that, and it takes a lot of energy. So these guys, they worked extremely hard. Very proud of our staff for all the. It takes a long time to develop meaningful relationships because we want to get to know these guys. We're trying to be as accurate as we can in our evaluation and the best way. There's guys along the process where we thought we were going to take them, and then you get to know them more and more and more, and you find out, this is maybe not the best fit for us. And so I just think that they did a tremendous job of doing all that legwork, and it takes effort to get guys on the phone and stay in touch with them, especially when you're coaching during the season. But that's what our guys did, and I think that led to our guys coming together. We kind of had a plan. Matt Wilson's our head of recruiting and did a tremendous job of organizing the recruiting efforts, and that's a lot of different layers to that. And all the support staff we have, we've added an on-campus recruiting position with Casey Teagarden is in charge of that and heads that up. And so just to be able to handle the new signing, the early signing, and which we knew was going to create more in-season visits, more December visits officially, and so that takes a lot of manpower. So all that coming together kind of resulted in today's outcome.
With Reese Taylor, what kind of goes into evaluating where he fits, both short term, long term? What kind of things do you be looking for when he gets here?
Yeah, I think that he's always was a guy that I had my eye on, just because of knowing him there from Ben Davis and my ties there. Just saw him as an athlete that had the ball in his hand in high school. You saw his growth as a young quarterback. Each year he always got a little bit bigger, a little stronger, and better, threw the ball better every single year. Definitely this season elevated his game again. I think after the fourth game, we just kept watching game after game. He was obviously already committed to us, but you start watching the games as they unfolded, you're like, this guy's really a talented quarterback, and he's making plays with his legs, with his arms, with his brain and decision making and the ability to create. And so you just say, hey, this guy is a special talent with the ball in his hand. So how that kind of plays out, I think you just got to evaluate. You get him here in the summer, and he'll start to work with us, and we'll start that evaluation process of where he fits in best. And I think he kind of has in his mind what he thinks he wants to do. And I know that entails with me just to be able to have a package offensively and then kind of see where that grows from. I've had guys tell me, hey, this guy's a slot receiver, that I have a lot of respect for it. And, he really wants to be a corner, and a return guy and then have that package on offense. And you never know. He may end up being a quarterback. I don't know. I really don't. I'm being very transparent with you. And that's how I've talked to him. He's a very, very talented football player. And he's tough, and he's quick, and he's really, really fast. And so I'm glad he's an Indiana Hoosier. And so we'll figure out where he plays as it goes forward. But, he's just everything I love about a young man. Cares about school, strong student, high character, hard worker. I know so many people there so well that they're going to be honest with it. I know exactly what we're getting with him, and I think he's a special talent.
Stu, and then Zach.
Coach, you're bringing in a lot of speed, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, where you're going to be losing some key starters to graduation after this season. I guess just what do you feel like they can bring in terms of, bring competition and depth and that sort of thing to that side of the ball?
Well, speed was an emphasis for sure when I went through and charged with our coaches and really just said we got to get faster. And to me, if you want speed, you got to recruit speed. And there's no question you can develop and get faster, but you have to have fast guys from out of high school, and those guys can be developed from there. And so that to me was a real priority. It's not by accident that we've got really a bunch of DBs that run really, really well. Got some linebackers that run really well. Got some defensive ends that run well. And that to me, it's a speed game. The ball is out in space a lot, and we got to be able to close. It also helps on special teams. To me, that's a big key. We got a bunch of guys here that I think are going to give special teams value. It doesn't take a lot of experience rep-wise to get that. And that's where you get a young guy a chance to get him involved early and allows him to grow and develop. And then those that develop faster schematically for the offensive defensive scheme, they'll see more playing time in that area. You always have surprises. I think Morgan Ellison's prime example this year. None of us would have predicted that he would have had that good of a season based off of when we took him out of high school. So there's going to be guys on this list that are going to surprise us, and I think that we'll play at a much higher level sooner than anybody might expect. And maybe some guys you think are supposed to don't quite develop as quickly. So it always kind of seems to balance itself out. But we have high expectations for this class, especially with the numbers we're losing on defense, and I think we sold that to these guys, and that's the truth. I said, I'm not going to ever promise you that you're going to come here and start, but I will promise you the opportunity to come and compete to play. And they believed us on that because it's true.
Yeah.
It's cliche, but Michael Penix is a quarterback with, obviously, it seems like some really good stats, a really impressive offer list, and he's enrolling early. Just what do you think he can bring immediately, and do you envision being a guy that at least could get in the mix in the competition?
Absolutely. And, our quarterbacks on campus, they know that, and I will tell them, and I'll tell, even the guys that are here a year from now, we're going to always recruit your position. We'll probably always at least recruit one quarterback every single class. I can't imagine not doing that. And so, you better understand that it's you're competing in the Big Ten. So he came here to compete, to play. And the guys on campus right now, they want to play as well. And so competition makes you better. And so we believe that we're bringing in a guy in mid-year that came here to compete for an opportunity to play in the fall. Now, that's on him to see what he does with it. And so, but I know that that's his expectation, and I know the guys that are on campus here, it's their expectation to be the man as well. And so that iron sharpening iron mentality and structure is what makes us special. And so we've got increased numbers, got to keep growing those at all positions so we can compete.
Matt and then Seth.
Coach, in the state breakdown, the one state I noticed you didn't get anybody from was Ohio. Is that just kind of how things shook out this class?
Yeah, definitely not by design. We recruited some guys from Ohio, and offered them and tried to get in on them. So I think it's kind of, and we had a few more from Illinois than we've had in the past. So I just think it's kind of cyclical in that regard. It wasn't necessarily by, we love to get those surrounding states and hit them hard, and we're going to do the same thing again next year.
Coach, what's the conversation like with a student athlete and their family to have them come in mid-year? Is that a hard sell?
Well, we don't really sell that, and I experienced it as a parent with my son a year ago, and so I've learned that you don't push that on somebody. They have to really want to do it. There's no question. There's pros and cons to everything, and I've seen it work really, really well. I've seen it backfire, where a young man probably wasn't ready. You have to be emotionally ready for that, physically ready, for the challenge, and I know from experience that it's a lot harder than people think. And I think it kind of sounds cool, at first, hey, I'm going to go early, go up getting spring ball, and, but you got to go from a high school classroom to a college classroom, and I guarantee that professor doesn't really care, that you just got out of high school. You got to perform at the level of a college student at that point. And so I just think there's a lot thrown on them, but I tell you what happens is when you get here, the academic benefit, once they kind of survive that adjustment, and then the football piece where you get to have 15 practices of spring ball, learning the system, getting those reps, it's a tremendous payoff. And so, but I don't pressure people. I tell them all the facts, tell them the pros, tell them the cons of it, and let them make the decision. And those that want to do it, we embrace it. Those that don't, we don't say, hey, that's something you need to do. It's a good question.
Fish.
Yeah, Coach, I know you were enamored of last year's freshman class, the 2017 class. How does this class fit with that in terms of positions?
Well, it's similar in regards to good balance. I like the way we've addressed it. It's not like it's loaded in one area, and we will, like I said, we'll still be adding some more guys. But I thought last year's class was very balanced. I think this class has more speed, not quite the size at certain spots, but we addressed it. Last year we felt we needed to get bigger. This year we want to get faster. So I tell you, these two classes back to back, and we have the ability to have really You know, when I look at both classes together, you add them up, you got about 50 guys that are going to be new in these two classes to add to our football team. So of the 85 on scholarship, you're going to have 50 of them that are in the last two classes. So that's a big chunk of our team. So that tells me that this offseason is going to be critically important for our future. And so the way that we work this spring, the mid-year guys are going to be joining us, and then when the rest of the class comes in June, their development for June and July, leading up to fall camp, is going to be a huge priority for our staff, and that includes everybody on our staff, all phases, to get them developed and maximize everything that we have, because we do have, I believe, two really strong groups back to back. This one will be a little bit bigger. It's got more speed, addresses similar positions, but I just feel like that it's an upgrade in a lot of just raw talent on the field. But they got. You know, that's the thing about signing. I think every head coach is excited, right? And you don't meet too many guys that aren't. But what do these young men develop into? That's the question. You know, what do these guys look like 2 years from now, and 3 years from now? And so you got to go back, and so nobody really knows that right now. You get y'all fired up about rankings and all that, and this is a great class in that regard. But I still don't focus on that. Didn't focus on it last year. Don't focus on it this year. It's what do these guys become, and that's our job, is to project what they're going to become. And we try to do a great job of getting guys we think can really develop into elite Big Ten athletes. They're going to help us win the Big Ten championship, and that's the goal.
What do you envision? Potentially, can you sign? How many more kids can you sign based on the numbers, how they structure out, all that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's some variables involved in that. You know, the attrition that you flow through, and as guys go and make decisions about, staying in school and leaving for the NFL, or other guys, decide, hey, I want to be able to go, and I may not see myself getting to play like I want to here. I want to maybe transfer. So things happen. That's part of it. So we won't know that for sure, but I can see, possibly growing 3 or 4 more guys, in this class, as a realistic possibility. Not much more than that, but you're limited by your numbers that you have. And so we don't know that exact number yet for sure, but I can see, my projection would be 3 or 4 more guys to add to this list. But you have a window to work with, and you can't go beyond that.
I know it's kind of still a couple more weeks away, but do you have an idea of what you want to do with that 10th assistant spot? Would it be a full assistant? Would it be maybe somebody who deals with recruiting? Do you kind of know yet what you want to do with it?
You kind of, when this all was voted in, and we knew, last year we thought it might happen at that point, and they decided to delay it till this coming January. So you had some time to kind of talk. I talked to a lot of coaches about their philosophy. What do you want to do with that position? What do you think is the best? And so this is kind of what I ended on, and kind of summary for me was, I want to find the best football coach that fits with us and will allow us to be the best recruiting and the best developmental staff in the country. And so that's what I decided to do. Not trying to say, hey, I got to have this position or this guy. Let's find the best person, the best coach out there that fits with us and our philosophy, and is going to help us become the highestly effective recruiting staff and developmental staff in the country. So, we're close to getting that finalized. It's not been, hasn't been hired officially yet, but that process is closing in, and so we will be, announcing that here probably in the next few weeks. But very excited about the options that we have for that position, and to me, it gives us a great chance to allow us to just be more effective. You got one more guy that can go out and recruit, one more guy that can teach and instruct on the field, and one more guy that can help us impact the lives of these young men.
Kind of off of that, do you know what that role is going to be? I mean, is it going to be? Well, we kind of answered it, but is it going to be a special teams coordinator, or are you still kind of?
Well, I will say this. I will say that it will affect that position, whether or not that person is that guy. But I believe you have to have somebody that owns special teams, and that's what will happen. And whether that's the person coming in, or whether it's somebody that we move to that role. I just know that you've heard me say many times how important special teams are. They're huge, and we saw that again this year. Even though our special teams play, I thought, was vastly improved overall. We still failed in some areas and some key times that cost us dramatically. So that will continue to be a focus, and I know that needs to be something that we will address in the 10th position.
Andy?
Coach, in terms of your own role, you were head coach, also defensive coordinator this year. Do you see that changing now you've been through it for a year? Do you have any thoughts about how you're going to continue forward?
I do, and I plan to stay as defensive coordinator for this coming season. But I do feel like that as we add this 10th person, that will be someone that will help me to be able to continue to spread the workload. You know, and also we got coaches here that have been with me for a couple years now, and so their roles will continue to increase, and as we work together more and more. So I think you're going to kind of see that type of emphasis with the person we add, as well as special teams, the combination of those two.
You mentioned the other schools trying to cherry pick and poach guys going into February. Did you see less of that, and do you think going forward that it'll just get moved up, or do you think that the early sign date will help reduce some of that kind of poaching?
I think it's supposed to kind of help that. You know, that's kind of one of the intents, I think. But at the same time, it still happens, and it still happened to us. They tried with our guys. I think the reason why they weren't as effective this year is because of the relationships that were built. And when you have strong ties with the family, then those attempts are much less effective. And matter of fact, I remember I sent a text out. I said the poachers are out in full force. You know, this is where it was like about a week and a half ago with our guys. I said, man, you've got to stay on your guys. And everybody those that you know that have the ear of our recruits, that you stay with them as well. And so we had to fight to the end on that. But so that's probably not going to change, you know. And sometimes in the past, our program's been one of those where they viewed they could come in and have a chance to take some of those. But it was fruitless this year because of the relationships that we had, and that's where that year-round recruiting, the full staff recruiting, these families feeling so tied in with us, so locked in with us that they weren't going to be pried away at the last minute.
How much do you think the completion of the Circle of Excellence is going to help you in the future in terms of what you can show student athletes coming here?
Oh, there's no question. And I sit in my office and I have a great view of that facility and just talking about what that's going to look like and them to be able to have access to it. You know, in a year from now, they'll be in it. That class will be using it. We'll be open up this summer. And so just another way for us to continue to show our growth and investment in the program. I know also just when that is completed, then the focus will go on the new locker room area that's going to be done, and the new training room and the new players lounge and all that our players will have a great impact, you know, being a part of and benefiting from. So the more that happens, the better it is. I think it's, you know, I tell guys it's the people that make a place special. That is never going to be, you know, anything that I'm not going to say, but having better facilities helps. You know, the people are what makes it special. But getting the facilities upgraded and having that there to show them, to me, it just shows investment. It shows the importance of our sport to Indiana University, the importance to the alumni investing in it, and our administration investing in it, and that's what we sell to our parents and that we're trying to recruit and to our players. And so even just this room right here, you know, just doing some things here to continue to grow it and to invest in it and to make it as nice as we possibly can to be able to show as you know, student athletes go from place to place, they see, hey, this place. And we still, even though I know we have great plans for the near future, you know, we consistently get the replies that they're just so impressed with how nice everything is here because they just really didn't expect it for whatever reason. And the perception, if they come from far away, that you know, football here is way more important and is much more invested in it than they thought. And so I think it's going to add to it when they come and see the finished product across in the South End Zone and the Excellence Academy, and then the new locker room and the team room being revamped and all those kind of things. So that's a big part of our future.
Coach, you mentioned 3 or 4 more spots. Do you think those will all be recruits, or would you be open to, I know it's kind of hard now, but in the spring, if there's maybe a grad transfer, you mentioned how young you are, maybe getting a couple guys, older guys that you could plug in certain spots? Yeah,
I think what you do, I think that you go through and you evaluate after you go through the spring, and you'll kind of see, you kind of know on paper you think you might be a little bit young and inexperienced, and you see how the spring plays out, and then you'd like to maybe save a spot or 2 for that. I think that's wise. And I'd like to be able to do that. And then you see, you know, it's kind of becoming more a popular thing for seniors to do when they graduate. And so I think, yeah, that's something we will definitely explore. And there's certain positions that we're already having those conversations about if the need arises.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.